Hi, RAM fans. This is Miley Martin from Student Activities at Fresno City College. And RAM 30 is all about meeting inspirational alumni and community members to hear their stories of success. Today, we're in for a treat because we are going to be meeting an amazing alum who's rubbed shoulders with political figures, celebrities, newsmakers, and ordinary people with extraordinary talents. Please welcome Jesus Luviano.
Yeah,
Welcome.
thank you,
Hi,
Miss
so good
Miley.
to see you.
My pleasure, Miss Miley. Likewise,
Oh,
I couldn't wait to meet you today. So I'm really excited to be here with you.
awesome, awesome. Well, first up, I've got to say happy National Hispanic Heritage Month. We're
Yes,
celebrating
absolutely.
Hispanic Heritage all month. And what does that mean to you, Jesus?
I honestly, it all brings me back home. It reminds me of my purpose of being here, as far as what brought me here, and of course, never forgetting who I am. So
Awesome.
it's a sense of pride, absolutely, for me and my family, everyone around me.
Well, I just want to share with everyone that we met back in 2017 when you were a intern at the Student Activities Office here at Fresno City College, and I was so excited because you were a recreation major. You were with us all spring, and you brought with you so many wonderful talents and a passion for sharing all of your talents with the campus. What was it like to come back to FCC where you did your, college years and then you went on to Fresno State? But what was it like coming back?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Ms. Miley, for considering my persona and for allowing me this space to be here with you guys and sharing of my story. Answering the question, I think it was definitely rewarding. It was a privilege because throughout the time that I was at Fresno City College, I always wanted to join different activities. Unfortunately, I never had that chance. And so while being completing my undergrad, I was fortunate, of course, to be provided with this opportunity to join the Student Activities Department. And the first thing I thought about was I want to provide other students with opportunities that I wish I would have had during the time that I was at Fresno City College. And so therefore, by the time that I was there with you guys, I couldn't be more excited to keep learning from people like you because they were like so inspirational to me. We were, like you mentioned, I was so pleased to be there with you guys because more than anything, you as my director there, you had so much in common. A lot of the things that you do, even on my persona, as far as always looking at opportunities, always looking for something new to create, always open-minded. That was something that was very driven to me as a persona and my learning experience there with you guys.
So let's just talk about a few things. You came to student activities with a lot of experience and talent. You did a talent show while you were with us. I think you did some art hop experiences with us. Um, just tell me, let's talk about that. The talent show, which was a major hit, we held in the cafeteria, and you brought in a lot of students, and they loved it.
Yes, I think the silent show itself was definitely one of my rewarding experience because, as people say, I was getting my feet wet as far as putting big shows together. And so, considering the fact that it was done at a college level, a lot of the people may underestimate that it's a college activity, but it really wasn't because we brought so many people together there that I was most impressed with the support that I received from you guys, the community, and the students itself overall. It was such a great turnout that I was like, oh wow, so if I can do this, maybe I can do, bigger things. So that was something that already started for me, inspiring for the next step in my career.
Well, after Fresno City College, when we met, of course, you were at Fresno State. How did you get your career started after you graduated? Because you went to Los Angeles and you did you've been doing a lot of amazing things. So share a little bit about that.
Yes, so even before I graduated, I started looking for opportunities in Los Angeles, considering the fact that, of course, it's a place for entertainment. And so I was pursuing my career with the Cirque du Soleil. I wanted to be involved with the area of creation because of my background in dance. And so I was thinking, okay, well, LA will probably be my next step after graduation. So I completed my undergrad during the summer of 2017, and then right after I started applying for jobs in LA. And so, to my surprise, Cirque du Soleil was going to be there at a show called Metropolitan Fashion Week. And so I applied for this opportunity, and yes, I was granted a position as an ambassador of this organization. And so that was on the fall of 2017. So I started with them right away. And surprisingly, that led into my actual um, I would say the entertainment industry and so or job opportunities. So that opened up the next door for me there.
So I know a lot of students glamorize the idea of working in Hollywood, and you've done that Hollywood, Beverly Hills, the whole thing. Um, did you did you find it to be as glamorous as you thought it would be?
That is a great question, Miss Miley. And I think um, the LA life and the Hollywood lifestyle, I always put it as an example of the tip of an iceberg. And the reason is because a lot of the times we focus just on the fame and the glamorous or the things that LA are well known for. But a lot of the times we miss on thinking what's underneath. And I think that's just as equal as important of knowing what is it that it takes for any of these famous people to be in the position where they're at now. And so as far as for me, I didn't thought through a lot of these steps. And so when I was there, it was quite of a hit. And so my advice would be to anybody that is considering of moving to LA or considering any of these industries out there is definitely reassess where you're at mentally, physically, emotionally, of course, and financially, because it's very expensive to live in LA. And so that a person needs to be ready for are things such as the competition, hard work, and changes, lots of changes, and sacrifices, of course, and needless to say, rejection. There is a lot of rejection all around at anything we want to do in LA.
So we talked about the fact that you've rubbed shoulders with celebrities and political figures and a lot of different people. Let's talk a little bit about how you got involved with the Ellen DeGeneres show and the 12 Days of Christmas, and also you're working at the Greek Theater. You're doing a little bit of everything and meeting a lot of big names in the industry. So share a little bit about that because that's kind of interesting.
Absolutely, Miss Miley. And like you said, it's I've been doing a little bit of everything. And as I mentioned in my prior question, is there is a lot of changes, and we have to adapt to so many things as we go along. And so when I started with the Metropolitan Fashion Week, one of the directors there actually got in contact with me. He saw my work, and then he said, "I'm interested in on your work. I really like it. And so, are you looking for a job? How did you get here?" And so I give him a little speech about, okay, well, I started as a professional dancer. Now I'm doing professional event planning, and I'm looking for jobs here. I was following Cirque du Soleil because I love Cirque du Soleil. And so he was the one that brought me into the Ellen DeGeneres show. So within that, he set me up for meetings, of course, interviews, and so forth. And that's how I started with Ellen. Now, as far as the celebrities that come through there, of course, there is so many of them. Like I can't list all of them, but some of the tops that I can think of, or great people that I met throughout the 12 days of Christmas would be like Hillary Clinton, Sofia Vergara, Lin-Manuel Miranda, Ricky Martin, Jennifer Lopez, Julia Roberts, Tiffany Haddish, BTS band, a Korean, South
Oh
Korean
yeah.
K-pop, Dolly Parton. So all these amazing people. And as far as the Greek theater, I had the opportunity of working with Billie Eilish, Morgan Freeman, Alex Cooper, Johnny Depp, Marilyn Manson, and Mohammed Hadid. These are some of just the top of the people that I can think of as far as the interaction, as far as um, doing some of the things or sharing my passion with them because at this point I was like, wow, I can't believe that I'm in front of these huge names.
Amazing, amazing. So I shared with you as well when you were interning that my old stomping ground is LA, Beverly Hills, the whole thing. And I worked for a celebrity and had all these great experiences as well. Similar, maybe not as big names as yours, but One thing that is important when you are in that type of an environment, you have to have a very good sense of self and a good foundation, good values, morals, and so forth, just because there's just so much going on. And it's a testament to your character, your values, your upbringing. You do have to have a foundation of knowing who you are. So I think it's very awesome that you've enjoyed and experienced so many wonderful opportunities, but it didn't swallow you up, because people get, eaten up and swallowed up and spit out in that industry, working with celebrities and glamorous people. It can be rough. So I think you've done an amazing job, and I know you're still doing a little bit of work here and there in different places. You've got so many things going on. You have an amazing eye for detail. You are very creative. That's the first thing I figured out when I first interviewed with you. I was like, oh my goodness, wow. You brought a lot to student activities, which,
Thank you.
every intern, everybody that comes in a department, even all the student aides, everyone brings so much to the table. There's so much talent, I always say, at Fresno City College. Um, how was there someone, I mean, how did you tap into your creative talents, and was there a role model or a superstar that you admired? I mean, where did it come from? Where does this creative genius come from?
Um, I think, Miss Miley, one of the things that I can think of is trying things outside of the box and being uncomfortable. Having to be a normal, quote unquote, person would not make any difference in society or for ourselves. And so the second thing that I can think of is never comparing myself. I never compare myself. I never try to follow anybody else's, um, I would say, ideals. So in this case, like you mentioned earlier, having to be in front of celebrities, wanting to be like them. I don't try to be like anybody else. I try to be myself, me, Jesus.
Mhm.
And I think those are some of the things that really tap into the things that I can do because of exploring my own persona and staying grounded to who I am as a person. So as far as the person that I would always look up for, of course, I had always in mind Cirque du Soleil. I always admire Cirque du Soleil's work, and that's always inspirational to me. And as far as the overall career, I always had my family, all my female cousins, majority of them are professionals, and they always had, or they always guided me. They were my primary support throughout this time, and they still are till today. We're always in communication. We're always meeting. We're always chatting, and so they are the people that really made me strong and always pushed me when I doubted myself. If I was doubting myself, they were like, "No, I think we think you can do this." And so a lot of these things that it was very important and crucial to have that kind of support. So yes.
So for students that are interested, because a lot of times, people are attracted to the more glamorous things, event planning, fundraising, and going into the larger markets, what advice would you give students who want to go the direction you've gone, doing events, activities, rubbing shoulders, and being involved in that atmosphere of glamour? Or, I mean, because you've done fashion shows, you've done a little bit of everything, a little production work. What advice could you give students that are listening and going, "Oh my gosh, I've wanted to do that"? How do they tap into that creativity and go, if they're interested in that direction? What advice would you give them?
There is different venues, I think, how to get there. And I think the main one is to just start by volunteering. Like for me, this opportunity happened for simply volunteering. I was not expecting to be working for Ellen. I was not expecting to be working for certain activities. I was not expecting to work for the Greek theater. So one thing led to the next. So if anybody has an interest on whatever industry may be, start by volunteering and learning basic tasks, learning logistics, learning as much as they can so they can move into the next step anywhere where this industry opportunities may land. And the next one would be to start doing things at a micro level. So even when things may not be exposed to major level, you still want to have that foundation that is very necessary for whenever opportunities open up. So, for instance, I started doing events really early during my starting, like working in elementary schools. I would put shows together and dance shows, theater shows. I went into high school doing high school events as well, runway shows as well. And then I went to college. So you could see the transition from starting very basic to going into a more, um, to a bigger spectrum where our talent is pretty much being exposed to a micro level, major level, excuse me.
Mhm.
Hmm. So this
So
was,
your whole career, really, I mean, I remember when you came to student activities, you talked about putting together, I think it was a runway show for at the high school level.
mhm,
And I was like, oh my gosh, that's great. We're at the college level and you're going to do something similar. So it started really more, you've had this mindset since elementary school. You've had a vision. So um, again, I mean, influence from seeing what's happening, I guess maybe on TV, and seeing that okay, everybody needs a little bit of fun and putting a show together. We all want to be entertained. You've been the producer. You learned at an early age how to produce these shows with an eye. You had that just eye for talent, and it takes seeing the big picture. That's one thing we discussed. You got to see the big picture and break it down to make it happen. So I mean, I just vibe with everything you do. It's just like, oh my gosh, that's we had a lot of fun student activities. But so your talents really come from a long history of cultivation, and I think it's
absolutely.
important that you shared that service is important. Students should learn. You can learn so many things by interning. Of course, you did internships, and I think that's great. All students should intern to learn to see if you have the qualities and you like what it takes. And then you've worked on so many different shows. I mean, runway shows,
Ballet shows, theater shows.
and then being a part of dance and theater. You see the how it all works, how you put it together.
Absolutely. Yes,
Wow.
and a lot of things. One of the things that I forgot in there, Miss Miley, is
Yes.
that connection part that we make with other individuals that share the same kind of mind. It's very, very powerful. In this case, I think of you every time because we had that connection. And so, likewise, when I went into the Metropolitan Fashion Week, there I'm collaborating with masterminds. I mean, people that are so passionate about the task they do, like creating art pieces, and dresses for celebrities, or just dresses for anybody. And just the ultimate outcome of this is like having to be in an environment with people that share the same ideas, the same passion is very powerful because that inspires us to push ourselves to the next level. So that's always very important to have that kind of building that network connection.
Mhm. Well, I also want to highlight the fact, Jesus, you're a first generation student. You're the first in your family to go to school. Um, you faced many, work and personal challenges. Where does your inner strength come from? I mean, amazing.
Thank you, Miss Miley. I think one of the things that I always emphasize is I can never forget where I come from. I come from a very tiny village in Mexico where I would say approximately 200 people living there, so with hardly any resources. And so when I moved to the United States, I was clear of my purpose of moving. I was clear about why I was leaving everything I possibly knew or everyone I loved behind. So having to be in a country like United States where all these opportunities are provided and not take advantage of that, I would feel guilty of that. And so all my strength comes from those limitations that I had in my early age. And second of all, having to see my parents struggle to provide, and that's the other source. And third, of course, is I consider myself a product of a community coming together. Everything from my family, from my professors, from anybody that would see how much I wanted to do things that supported that. So I say I am definitely one of those persons, a product of a community. So everyone coming together and doing their part. So I am left with just doing my own part, and that's what I did, and that's what I've been doing all this time.
That's just amazing. I mean, I admire you. You have so much strength. You've really gone out on a ledge in your career, your field, your passion, and you continue to just surprise me with everything you're doing. So I don't know if I asked you this, but did you have a role model or a mentor growing up? I mean, you mentioned the community, but was there someone in particular? You mentioned your sisters or your family, but was there anyone else?
Absolutely, Miss Miley. And I think I've been very, very fortunate throughout my life because at everything at every place I've gone to, there's always a lot of people around me that are very supportive, whether it was my family, whether it was my teachers, whether it was the principals at high schools, whether it was my directors or boss at the jobs. So everyone was extremely supportive of my persona. And so therefore I'm extremely grateful. I could name so many people. It's incredible how many people, and that's one of the things that reminds me to stay humble at all time because that's the only thing I can give them back by staying myself and learning from the best people. So yes. Now, if I can touch based on the specifics, when I first started, when I moved to the United States, was because two of my older cousins. So one, her name is Lupita Maldonado. She is a doctor, and the other one would be Diana Peña. She is a social worker. And so them two collaborated with me through the time when I was in Mexico, and they pushed me. You should go ahead and study dance. You should move out there and experience. You have the talent. You have this, and they really pushed me to do what I'm now today. So, and throughout my college years, it was my younger cousins, Melissa Peña and Elizabeth Peña, that were the ones supporting me there when I felt like I can't do this anymore. They're like, no, you can. And so I was like, oh my goodness. And so, of course, I always had my professors there supporting me, my mom, my dad. So all my family were extremely supportive. People like you who believe in me, open doors to opportunities. Those are the people that really inspire me to be who I am today. And I still have ways. I'm still not done. So
Well,
I'm having.
that's a great segue into my next question. So you've had an amazing resume of experience. You're a very young man. What is next for Jesus? What do you have planned next?
I am actually very excited because I've been studying communication with New York Fashion Week, and I would love to put together some of the shows out there in New York. Second of all, I am extremely grateful to be at a new location here in Fresno with the new position as a rentals event coordinator. The organization's name is the San Joaquin River Parkway and Conservation Trust.
Yes.
Such an amazing place, amazing people, and I am extremely grateful to be making that transition from LA here. As you notice, LA had to take a break because of the entertainment industry stopping because of the coronavirus. So I found this place here in LA before all this went on, and so I'm extremely grateful to be in a place where I'm still growing, I'm still expanding my horizons and my skills, and just learning from the things that I can pick up on, and more than anything, sharing my passion with those people that come through our venue.
That is awesome. So, how can students listening now find encouragement during this tough year? 2020 has been a tough year for everybody. And how can you share some words of encouragement for students? What would you say?
One of the things that I've been focusing on is identifying the things that I can do, and of course, identifying the things that I can change. Because unfortunately, we just have to keep focusing on those areas, like something that give us a fulfillment of accomplishments. So for me, it's been learning new skills, putting together websites. I've been learning how to put together a website now. Something that was very necessary on my field. And so other things may be maybe focusing with family or even catching up with their own selves, learning about themselves and taking the time to explore those ideas and expanding throughout this time, even when it's not being put in mm, um, the bigger stage. a smaller stage still fine enough. And so I think that's one of the things that I would suggest to people.
I think that's important during this time. There's always a silver lining in any moment, and reflection is very important for everybody to kind of sit back and you ride high, but there's going to be some lows. There's going to be every day is going to be a little bit different, but just knowing that you have it within yourself to create what you want. And I think your life experience that you've shared, you've taken your interests and your passions and you've created so many wonderful opportunities. Nobody hands you anything, but you have networked well. And I'm so excited for you being here for a little bit here locally,
Yes.
probably putting together some amazing events and beautiful weddings. And I mean, we could go on and on. But it's almost time to wrap up Ram 30. Jesus, you have shared a lot of inspiring stories. You're an inspiration to me. You've done so many things. I've just, it's been a joy. So I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to share to keep students motivated and focused on their goals. I don't know if there's any last words you'd like to share.
Yes, absolutely. I think my last message, Miley, to all of the students or anybody watching this video is I come from the nothing. And if I was able to do this, anybody can do it. And even when I felt like things were impossible, they were not. So, for instance, never thought that I would be in one of these top #1 shows in America. And so here I am. So keep working hard, stay humble, and I'm sure somebody will notice that and allow you to go to the next step, whatever it will be for you. So absolutely keep that in mind.
Well, thank you, Jesus, for sharing your story of inspiration and success. I know our lives will keep crossing, and I'm just so proud of you and congratulations. Thank you for being on Ram 30.
Thank you, Miss Miley. It was really my pleasure.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye
Until
bye.
later. Bye
All right,
bye.
bye bye.